I speak to you in the name of God, Creator, Redeemer, and Sustainer. Please be seated. Happy Christmas Eve, everyone. It's wonderful to gather here with you this evening to celebrate the birth of the Son of God, Jesus. In Hebrew, Emmanuel, meaning God is with us. Tonight we celebrate God is with us because of events on a cool, crisp, magical evening 2,000 years ago. The stars shone brightly that night in the fields surrounding Bethlehem, where humble shepherds in silence stood sentinel over their flocks, waiting and watching, watching and waiting. A night like any other, and yet so very different. Suddenly, they are astounded. Angels are appearing in front of them in a blaze of light. To these who are humble and wait in silence, God speaks. They receive the news of the most extraordinary event of all, human history disrupted, changed forever because of a dark-eyed baby who lies in a feeding trough just a few miles away. How are you feeling as 2016 draws to a close? As this year ends, perhaps you are feeling a little bit battered by the events that took place. As I thought about writing this homily, a song came into my mind. It was written by Jerry Herman in 1966 for the Broadway musical Mame. And it kind of sums up how I think most of us are feeling as 2016 draws to a close. It goes like this. Haul out the holly, put up the tree, before my spirits fall again. Fill up the stocking, I may be rushing things, but deck the halls again. For we need a little Christmas, right this very minute. Candles in the window, carols at the spinet. Yes, we need a little Christmas, right this very minute. We need a little Christmas now. It hasn't snowed a single flurry, but Santa dear, we're in a hurry. So climb down the chimney, turn on the brightest string of light I've ever seen. Slice up the fruitcake. It's time we hung some tinsel on that evergreen bough. For I've grown a little leaner, grown a little colder, grown a little sadder, grown a little older. And I need a little angel sitting on my shoulder. I need a little Christmas now. Christmas is here. And this year, I think we all know that we need it. We all need to be reminded of how good life really is. And most of all, on this Christmas Eve, we need to remember that God is here with us, with each and every one of us, loving us and suffering with us. Why else would God become human? This Christ child born tonight will not have an easy life. He will experience the deepest pain and betrayal that a human being can know. In recounting the story of Joseph taking the very pregnant Mary on a trek from Nazareth to Bethlehem, this year we are reminded of the hundreds of thousands of refugees who have streamed out of Syria. Bethlehem is not very far from the Syrian border. In fact, it's just a couple hundred miles. at most. And like today's refugees, the young couple, Mary and Joseph, found no shelter. Their baby was born amongst the animals in a farmyard. There is no comfortable home for them, nor for the millions of homeless refugees in the world today. The images from Syria are very difficult to look at. Children holding one another for comfort in a nightmare world in which the adults have no comfort to offer them. And so this Christmas, the words of Isaiah hold more meaning for us, perhaps, than ever before in our lifetime. Isaiah says, a child will lead them. And tonight we hear, for a child has been born for us, a son given to us. In our world, as we look around, we see that the adults simply cannot get it right. How fitting then that God comes into the world not as an adult, but as a new life, a boy child. Tonight we celebrate the birth of the baby Jesus. We can imagine him lying in the feeding trough, searching the faces around him as babies do for the face of Mary, his mother. And she, the young woman, a girl really, sits beside him, both loving him as his mother and worshiping him as the divine being that he is. Mary is forever changed by his birth. Because of the baby Jesus, she will learn to be a little less selfish, a little more loving, in a way that most parents learn these things. The child teaches the parents, leads the parents to become better people. When a child is born, in a way, it represents a rebirth for the parents as well. Is this why God comes into the world as a baby? To change us all, to make us all a little less selfish, a little more loving? Are you ready to be changed by the birth of Jesus, by being reborn yourself? Are you ready for the birth of the Christ child in your heart? Only God can save us. Only God can get it right. And if you accept the leadership of this child, the Christ child, you are invited to be part of God's plan to make all things right, to bring justice to those who are oppressed, to bring healing to those who suffer, and to bring peace to each and every one of us, no matter how crazy our world can seem. Yes, we need a little Christmas right this very minute. We need one another, and we need God most of all. As you come home for the holidays with family and friends, I pray that in the coming year, you will come home to God more and more. The baby Jesus was born into difficult times. And none of it matters because God is with us. Emmanuel. God is with us today and always. Amen.